Hey guys, what is going on? It's Steven here. This video is going to be a little bit different than your typical YouTube video. This video is going to be more of a analysis and a step-by-step breakdown on what I did to get $25,000 per month and eventually 7 figures per year using Airbnb arbitrage versus when I first started, I was only making about $800 every paycheck, and I just wanted to do a video breaking down exactly what I did to go from working my 9 to 5 and how I use Airbnb arbitrage to, get to 7 figures, and just make a video and give that to y'all guys. So please enjoy. Put your phone on do not disturb, close all your tabs, all your apps. This took a lot of work to put together. To those of you who are working a 9 to 5 or even in the military like myself, this is going to be extremely valuable for you. Doesn't matter if you've worked as a cashier at your Walmart for past 20 years, you're going to receive a ton of value and gain a new perspective on some points in this video, and I can absolutely guarantee that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So this is going to be exactly how I went from sleeping in the backseat of my truck and working 90 plus hours per week to making more than $25,000 per month in just 3 months. Leveraging a little known real estate hack that nets me cash flow every month on properties that I do not even own without coming out of pocket either. This little screenshot of the back end of my Airbnb dashboard ranging from January to March 2021 of nearly $56K paid out and about $19.8K en route in just 3 months. So if you didn't already know, my name is Steven Billman, and in this document, I'm going to show you exactly how I went from sleeping in the backseat of my truck, failing at numerous side hustles, and ultimately being lost in life and making only $1,600 per month to making $25,000 per month in just 90 days. Now, for anyone watching, please put your phone down, put it on Do Not Disturb if you can, get away from all the apps, get away from the TV, get somewhere quiet, remove all distractions. Close TikTok, close IG, and just pay very, very close attention to this, because I promise you there's going to be something in here that's going to connect to you, and if anything, you're going to get a very big perspective change. And yeah, I think this is going to be something that's going to be very important to you, because if you plan on generating life-changing amounts of cash flow and you follow my precise formula, you will be able to create life-changing income for yourself in just 3 months if you apply the things that I do. So now, before we get into the details of the steps you need to take, I'll quickly show you some more proof of the statement above so you know that I actually did this. So this is a little screenshot of my Airbnb dashboard. It was my first year in Airbnb. We did a little bit over 400K paid out in just 12 short months from January to December of 2021. So yeah. So now that we've got that out of the way, let me tell you who this training is for. If you are looking to get in real estate and generate 10K to 30K per month in profit in the next 30 days, in the next 3 months, this is for you. If you know you have potential to make money through real estate but can't afford to buy several properties, this is for you. If you have no experience or expertise in real estate or business or any of this besides a 9 to 5 whatsoever, but you want to use it as a vehicle to create generational wealth, this is for you. If you understand that it isn't easy but you're willing to put in the work using this formula, this is for you. Now, let me tell you who this document is not for. If you're looking to get rich quick and not run a proper business, this is not for you. If you want to get into real estate but you're not willing to spend time on your business to get results, this definitely isn't for you. If you're happy to watch each day pass by working your current job, this is definitely not for you. If you're uncomfortable with having large sums of cash into your bank account on a daily basis, this is definitely not for you. Now, here's the truth about remote rental arbitrage that no one else will tell you. You can absolutely replace your income with rental arbitrage, making multiple 6 figures, doing zero cold calling, zero marketing, and zero advertising. And you might think this is like insane, some claim that can't possibly be true, right? However, most are not capable of doing it because they don't have the resources and don't fundamentally understand how to. How to, one, get landlords to say yes to letting them use their properties for business, and how to, two, automate the whole business so they are hardly involved in the day-to-day operations and they are working on their business and not in their business. Nor do they understand how easy it is to find extremely profitable units without having to use booking platforms. But if you're watching this when you're already on the right track, stop yourself from making simple, avoidable mistakes. One of these mistakes is limiting beliefs. And with that being said, like limiting beliefs and your mental and just your mindset towards things will stop you or prevent you from making so much money. Trust me. So getting on with limiting beliefs, you need to protect yourself from things like there's no such thing as the market is too saturated. Trust me. No matter what market you're in, no matter how many people are in it, I mean, the top 10% will always eat up the bottom 90%, or even you can go as far as top 20% will eat up the bottom 90%. So I don't believe the market's very saturated, but no matter what market you're in, even if it was extremely saturated, if you can perform in the top 10, 20%, you're going to make it. And if you want to be in that top 10, 20%, in this breakdown, we're going to go over exactly how to find extremely profitable properties and analyze the market, how to achieve over $10,000 to $30,000 a month, and how to scale even larger numbers, how you can build and scale a multi-six-figure rental arbitrage business remotely, and how to do all of this without having to call a single landlord or property owner if you don't want to. Now, before we dive in, a little background as to how we got here. So, in 2018, I set up my own landscaping business while working at Discount Tire. I quickly realized that I could make more in 1 hour of landscaping than an entire 8-hour shift at a normal job. This one I experienced a mindset shift that made me fall in love with business. And just a little bit out the numbers, I think Discount Tire was making I think I started at like $12 an hour. So like $96 before tax. And then landscaping, I could do each yard for like $50 in 30 minutes. So I could make $100 an hour landscaping. And a lot of times it was cash. So yeah. So to learn more about business, I enlisted in the military so that I could afford to go to college. However, shortly after joining the military, I realized that the military wasn't for me, and neither was college, to be honest. But I was sleeping in my truck and working over 90 hours a week. I needed to make some extra income to be able to have a place that I call home. So I tried all kinds of things. I tried stocks, crypto, drop shipping. I even got into like window tinting for cars. All kinds of stuff that like honestly ended up not working out. But like I said, nothing was working out. I started looking for other options and conducting research into side incomes. I ended up getting stuck on real estate purely for the fact that 90% of millionaires are created through it. But I was young, I had no money, I had no credit, and honestly no education or educated on any way of getting outside money or lending or funding. I didn't even know that was an option. So, however, I knew I needed to find a way to get in real estate no matter what it was. Eventually, I stumbled upon rental arbitrage. This business model lets me rent other people's properties and sublease on platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, Bookings.com, Furnish Finder, stuff like that. In the process, I would generate 2 to 4 times the rent of the property to generate cash flow. I decided to spearhead this opportunity and take advantage of it as fast as I possibly could. I pitched the opportunity to what felt like thousands and thousands of landlords, trying to convince them to let me use their property to run essentially my business through their house. Eventually, one did say yes. I didn't hesitate. I furnished the property. I decorated it. I took the pictures as fast as humanly possible, as fast as I could. I was determined to make it work no matter what, and failing was not an option. So, essentially, I sunk all my boats, maxed out all my personal credit cards that Navy Federal was so kind to give me a $30,000 limit on. I was all in and went live within my first week. So, I thought I was doing great. I thought I was killing it. This is one of my first bookings I got. 3 nights, $658. At the time, this was almost as much as one of my 2-week paychecks. So you can imagine like how ecstatic I was at getting my first booking. I thought cash flow was just coming in. I was going to rake it in. And then I started to crunch the numbers, and that's when I realized the property cost for rent and utilities and everything was $38.50 per month, and this was going to completely put me under if we were going to stay at this rate. So I started to raise my price towards the end of the month, but it was too late. I ended up barely breaking even, and honestly, I don't even think I break even. I think I still had to come out of pocket a tiny bit, and I thought it was totally over. I thought I was screwed. I had all this credit card debt, personal credit card debt too at that. Didn't even know anything about business credit cards or business funding. So I had almost screwed myself. And I knew that I needed to make a change. I started going to real estate events, masterminds, and just absorbing all the information that I could get my hands on, whether it was YouTube, Google, events, one-on-ones, mentorships. So the following month, I started to implement automations, dynamic pricing, cleaning teams, handyman, and much more, and just setting up all my systemization so that things could be done faster, better, just more optimally. I did everything I could to make my business profitable and make sure I had a repeat of my first month, or make sure I never had a repeat of my first month. So the result of having everything systematized and automated allowed me to streamline my business, and I no longer had to worry about small things that I would usually have to do myself, whether it be like changing the price, messaging guests, messaging my cleaners to make sure they were there on time, messaging them hours later to make sure that it got cleaned well so they can send me pictures, all the like just really BS that comes with not using automations. So I started getting booked out every single month. I mean, damn near back-to-back days, and made more money in the process, as you can imagine. So this is one of the bookings. I think this was like the end of the second month. We got about 7 nights for a little bit over $7,000. So you can imagine I was extremely ecstatic for that. So don't call it a comeback, but after a few months of consistent revenue, I made sure everything was covered in my business, and I had standard operating procedures, or SOPs, and system completely dialed in to where I was extremely confident in myself and in my business, and I was ready to scale. So the only thing left to do was scale. So this is property number 2 in Phoenix. You can see me right here, and one of my buddies that I was working with. His name's Dylan. And I implemented all the same systems, teams, and SOPs to assure I would absolutely crush it. And the result, this property ended up, I think, right after we went live, I got a couple bookings for like a couple days. And then I got a booking for 28 days, which was actually a team of workers that worked at the microchip plant that's being built in Phoenix. And they ended up booking a month, and then later down the line ended up signing a contract with them where they're staying at my properties in Phoenix for like years at a time. So that's awesome. And this is when I realized my business potential to soar to unimaginable heights, like I said, because of this business opportunity. And now I'll keep going with this, but now I show my students how to go from using Airbnb, Vrbo, Bookings.com, and then scaling into getting contracts with corporations, with businesses, with healthcare professionals, with insurance claimants. So yeah. Getting onto this, I was on the phone constantly trying to get landlords to agree to me essentially running my business through their home. And it was difficult because I was failing over and over, and I couldn't get landlords to say yes. And it really allowed me to learn what they did and did not want to hear. And I was crafting my pitch and script constantly making adjustments to ensure that my next call went smoothly. I began to hear yes much more often after understanding landlords' worries and pain points. I started to pick up properties left and right, and I built a list of exact furnishing and supplies and everything you needed for every single property. This meant that I could furnish them and go live in less than a week. I was able to make this possible by leveraging subcontractors that at the end of the day only cost me about $6 an hour because you could pay them like per job. I was scaling and getting bookings like crazy, all while still being full-time military. So if you think you can't get into something like this because you work a lot or you have a job or kids or whatever your reason is, I promise you, I was working like crazy on both sides, both in the military and on my business. And this is one of my calendars that's fully booked out except for this one day right here. And I was absolutely killing it. The more I made forced me to want to push even harder and scale even faster. I recruited a full team to take care of everything for me, from finding, furnishing, and designing it, all the way up to listing it and then setting up automations and managing the property for me as well. So as a result, you saw that screenshot at the beginning where I made $405K in 365 days first year. This is that right here. Now, in 2023, we're on track to do about $1 million or $983,000. I mean, by the time this video comes out, we'll probably be past that, but this is from January 1st to September 28th of this year. Now, I decided to break it all down for you. In the following steps, I'll outline the entire process, A to Z, on what we and my students did to accomplish these results. I want to put this out there so you can use our playbook to launch and scale your Airbnb arbitrage business and make at least an additional $10,000 every month in the next 90 days. If you follow these exact stepping stones, it is impossible not to have a wildly successful career in Airbnb arbitrage in 2023 and beyond. So let's get through the B&B Syndicate framework. I'm going to put myself up here. So the B&B Syndicate framework. One is going to be establishing your business, setting up your LLC and getting funding or other people's money, because those are the two key things you need in any business. Number two, locating a property. So A, permitting and regulations, find out if it's even legal in that city or state that you're in, and then do market research and analysis to find that property, and then do research on the property itself and make sure you're going to be profitable. Number three, closing and launching. So pitching to a landlord and closing them on the idea of rental arbitrage so that you can move forward and furnish the property, get pictures taken, and then set up your automations so that you're not having to deal so much in the day-to-day operations. Number four is going to be scaling. So this is going to come all down to your team building, and I know it says systemization and consistency, which those are key, but your team is going to be the biggest thing when it comes to scaling. So yeah, team building, systemization, and consistency. So when you begin to zoom out of the journey and understand your priorities at each one of these stages, mastering Airbnb arbitrage becomes a game of consistent repetitions, doing the same thing over and over and over once you learn what to do. Not struggling to figure out how you're going to get your next property set up or how you're even going to get it or where you're going to get it. Now, let's get into how we optimize each stage of the process for my students so that they can go from breaking out of their 9-to-5 to being on track to make multiple six figures using other people's properties in just 1 year. Applying the B&B Syndicate framework. So having taught hundreds and hundreds of people about rental arbitrage, I've learned that people aren't just unmotivated, they're just unaware of the solutions needed to succeed. You don't know what you don't know, and it's just as simple as that, really. Especially when it comes to setting up a business, funding it, finding the properties, pitching to the landlords, automating the business, and most of all, scaling the business so you can continue to grow. So here's what I did to fix all those issues that someone might have when they're trying to get into rental arbitrage or Airbnb arbitrage. Number one is establishing your business. I created an exact step-by-step checklist on how to build and structure your LLC or your limited liability company, as well as how to get your employee identification number or your EIN, and how to get your DUNS number for free. Your LLC is going to supply you with personal liability protection, tax benefits, and flexibility, and of course, increased credibility for you and your business itself, especially when you're pitching to landlords. B, structuring your LLC plus personal credit to get access to funding, aka OPM or other people's money. I prefer 0% APR business credit cards for the simple fact that they are 0% APR. However, the 0% is only an entry rate and lasts about 12 to 21 months depending on what card and what bank you're working with, of course. It's a fantastic way to leverage large amounts of funds you wouldn't have access to otherwise, while simultaneously building business credit. And depending on what card it is, you're probably going to get a tons of points on the back end for it anyway. So this will allow you to leverage larger amounts of funds, all at 0% interest and without having to come out of pocket whatsoever. Number 2, locating properties. The number one thing you need to verify before looking at any property and run any numbers or talk to any landlords is the permitting and regulations of the city you plan on investing in. The easiest way to do this is by simply Googling the city followed short-term rental regulations. Here, you'll find the city or county page and it will explain the ins and outs of the city county regulations. B, knowing how to research and analyze on the market you're interested in investing into. Go into AirDNA. It's airdna.co. It's a website, super easy to use, and look up the city you want to invest in. AirDNA will tell you the average revenue of the city, average occupancy, and ADR, or average daily rate, essentially telling you how much you're going to make in that city if you want to invest in it. And the key metrics that I like to look out for are these 3 right here. So average occupancy above 60%, average daily rate above $150, and number of active listings more than 300 plus active listings. The next thing is going to be knowing how to research and analyze the properties in that market. So go to any real estate platform, Zillow, Hotpads, Realtor.com, whatever, etc. Find a property that is updated, located near the city, airports, hospitals. Keep in mind, real estate is all about location. Once you've found the ideal property, copy the address and drop it into AirDNA, and it will tell you the property's estimated revenue, occupancy, and the average daily rate. Now, to run comps. Comps are just comparable properties to yours, whether that's decor, location, size, etc. This is essentially just finding properties that resemble yours the most and see how well they're doing, see how much they're making, see what their lead time is, occupancy, how much they're making per night. And comps are just the property that looks as close to yours or resembles yours. If you can find an identical property to yours, then cool. And then see how much they're making. That'll give you a good idea. And of course, there could be things that they're doing wrong on the back end and the inside of the account, but it will give you a pretty good idea. Number 3 is going to be closing and launching. So after concluding the property will profit on a consistent basis, it's time to lock in the property by pitching and closing the landlord. So this is sales when you're pitching landlords. So the biggest thing is going to be headspace in your mindset when you're coming into talking to them. And the most important thing you need to understand before pitching to landlords, like I said, is this is sales. You're trying to convince someone to allow you to run a business under their roof. It's extremely important that you know your business inside and out. Truly imagine yourself in the shoes of the homeowner and imagine all the objections and all the questions that they're going to have for you and try to answer those in your own head beforehand, so when they do ask those questions, you have the answers for them. Now, the rejections before they happen so that you can respond correctly and have some cards up your sleeve. And if you feel the conversation pivoting the wrong way, you're going to want to build some rapport and relationship with them. And this one, it comes down, and this is what I like to call game time. Ideally, you want to pitch in person, as you will have a much higher success rate this way. Spend the first 10 to 30 minutes focused on learning about people, build rapport with them, make connections. Remember, this is not about you, it's about them, and people love to talk about themselves. Match the vibe of a landlord and their tone and their gestures, and everything should be good to go. So, the pitch. The key to this is to pitch facts. So, I like to start out with a compliment. Maybe they have a nice tie or a nice car, but typically I start out with, it's a beautiful property, and then come out with some context. I think it would be a perfect fit for our business. I own and operate a corporate housing business, then go to explain why it benefits them, and here's the homeowner benefits. So the first one being, you are never leaving, and quite literally, you are never leaving because you are a business, and you don't have any intentions of leaving. So signing a 2 to 3 year lease will benefit you a ton because just of purely predictability, and you're not having to worry about that particular part of your business whatsoever. Number 2, the property will always be clean and well maintained. The cleaning team will clean and deep clean the property every time a visitor leaves, keeping it in tip-top shape throughout the year and ensuring it doesn't get damaged. And even if you do move out of their investment, it's going to be move-in ready because I mean, it's a short-term rental, so you're going to have to keep it at tip-top condition for guests that are coming in and out. I mean, if you want to get 5-star reviews and make more money, you're going to make sure that happens. So at the same time, while making sure that your business is going to be the best that it can be and get the best reviews, you are simultaneously protecting their asset and making sure that if or when you move out, it'll be move-in ready. And typically the biggest thing or issue that landlords have with tenants is the gap between the next tenant, because all the stuff that they're having to fix and repair and just make ready for the next tenant. Now, if you're taking care of that, then that's a whole another brick off their shoulder or weight off their shoulder that they're not going to have to worry about. The next thing, you will always pay rent on time, guaranteeing a consistent revenue stream without hassle. So I don't really need to explain that too much. I mean, if you're making money, you're going to pay the rent. Number 4, you will do more business with them. And by that, I mean, if they're a landlord that's investing in a lot of real estate, they're at the point where you can introduce the fact that this is one of the many doors you are willing to pick up. Now, you have built this relationship with the landlord and you are solving a huge piece of the business, which is a wild card of having a safe, predictable client, which helps you take away the landlord's fears. They will be saying yes to deals today and yes to the deals tomorrow. So getting landlords to come to you ends up being the future hack and is going to allow you to scale faster and bigger. So with this last one, with that being said, just to break it all down real quick, what I mean by this is if you're working with landlords and investing in a lot of real estate and they're cool with you and you have this mutual beneficial relationship, you're essentially going to occupy their properties, so they completely have that part of the puzzle solved. I mean, that's the only issue that there is with investing in real estate, is making sure it's going to be occupied all the time. So your mortgage is getting paid and maybe you're making a little cash flow on long-term rentals, but mostly what they're worried about is making sure their mortgage is paid so that they can continue to invest in more properties and so they can get that appreciation equity of that property on the back end. And while they're scaling their real estate business and getting more properties, you are simultaneously scaling yours as well, because as they buy more properties, you are getting more properties on your business as well. And so you are scratching each other's backs. So furnishing and decor can and will break you. Gone are the days of finding a property in a populated city and going to IKEA and just buying generic cookie cutter furnishing and decor. When someone is looking for a property to stay at, they're looking for something eye-catching that is going to jump out at them. Also, don't forget that you need Wi-Fi capable deadbolts, Wi-Fi enabled doorbell and cameras, as well as noise monitors. These are huge, huge, huge tools right here that you cannot go without. Next thing is going to be automation, the key to passive income. Make sure that you are leveraging dynamic pricing software. I recommend Price Labs. There's a bunch out there like Price Labs, Wheelhouse, and there's a ton more, but honestly, Price Labs is the best in my opinion. Secondly, you must take advantage of a property management system. You'll hear it called PMS a lot. This is going to allow you to automate messages between you and your guests, you and your cleaners, you and your handyman, and just really automate not all, but a lot of your day-to-day tasks, especially when it comes to messaging. And with that, I recommend using Guesty for host. Guesty also allows you to automate check-in and check-out for your guests by sending a code automatically for each guest to use upon check-in, and that's going to connect to your Wi-Fi deadbolt, so you don't ever have to worry about turning over keys, turning over codes, a guest forgetting the key or losing the key or forgetting the code, because how I have it set up, the code is going to change to the last 4 digits of their phone number. So, I mean, if they forget the last 4 digits of their phone number, I mean, there's not really anything you can do there, but I mean, you can resend them the code, but like if they forget their phone number, then they got other issues. Next thing is going to be scaling and systemization. It's no secret that teamwork makes the dream work. I have an A-plus team that is going out every day, and it's what's going to allow everything to be faster, easier, and less work and less stress on you. This is what I like to call my A-team, consisting of my cleaning crew, my handyman, my interior designer, my contractors to do all the furniture install and stuff like that, my acquisitions manager, and then all my virtual assistants to take care of the small little tasks. Systemization is key to having a business that can operate pretty much autonomously. And then the next thing is going to be apps and tools to make sure that things can be autonomous. And you must make sure that they're connected appropriately. This will let you automate time-consuming areas of the business, utilize SOPs or standard operating procedures to ensure that any employee can follow your instructions to a T in your absence. You know, if you get hit by a bus or something, God forbid, but your business can operate without you. And of course, after you checked all the boxes, you know how to find the properties, you know how to get them, you know how to furnish them, you have your team set up to take care of everything for you. After that, after you get all the boxes checked, you need to make sure you're consistent time and time again so that you can continue to scale and continue to make more money. So, creating a business is definitely hard work. You need to show up every day, no matter how you're feeling, particularly when you first get started, and set yourself a non-negotiable task every day and get them done no matter what, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what's going on. Those things need and will get done. Now, do you want to know what happened when my students applied this framework? You have my students, like, they're closing deals left and right, and they're getting bookings the same day they list. I know this one, they texted me the other day. They just listed their property, and within an hour, they used my thumbnail strategy and my pricing strategy that I had set up for them, and they got one booking within the first hour and 2 more bookings the next morning. And this is another one of my students in Sweden, actually. He's just railing 10K months. And he shot me a text or messaged me on IG the other day and wanted to share that he made his first 10K month. And he's actually a realtor in Sweden, and he was asking about Airbnb, and he was talking about buying properties, and I recommended that he does arbitrage so that he could scale faster and make more money quicker without having to invest, 20% up front that you would when you're buying a property. Because with arbitrage, you're only worrying about rent, security deposit, and then furniture and decor, which is, unless you're buying extremely luxury property, it's going to be a lot cheaper than any 20% on any investment property. And he said this arbitrage model is amazing. This is one of my students, River. He actually has a partner. It's River and Nick. They started a couple days ago, or actually a couple weeks ago, actually. They went live, and they got a booking right away, their first day for 5 days, $1,000. And then the second day, they got another booking. Third day, they got another booking. They got them back to back to back. So I have tons and tons and tons of videos of my students, screenshots of my students, but I'd be on here forever if I was going to sit here and explain all that to you and show you all that. If you want to check out those in more depth, you can check out my Instagram highlights, and I'm constantly posting on my story as well. But I just wanted to make it clear that this is really just how powerful the system is, and the feedback loop gets when executed properly, intentionally, and the nuances behind every decision and change is fundamentally understood. Now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur, if you want to escape or get out of your 9-to-5 and do something more worthwhile, in my opinion, or someone who has the potential and drive to make things happen, then this is definitely for you. And you are wanting to get in real estate to generate passive income, or intrigued by the cash flow of rental arbitrage, this can definitely be for you. And you want to generate 10 to 20K a month through real estate without owning any property and without having to use any cash out of your own pocket if you prefer to. I'll give you my complete BNB syndicate framework so that you can replicate this exact process for you and see similar results in less than half of the time it would take for you to do it on your own. And I can guarantee you won't be able to do it faster on your own. In fact, I'm so confident I can deliver these results for you that if you don't find, furnish, list a profitable property in the first 60 days, I'll continue working with you for free. I'll continue working with you day in, day out, making sure that you get your first profitable property as soon as possible. And honestly, I'll be there to continue working with you so you can scale and get more properties. Now, if you want to learn how you can build an empire for yourself and get results like this. Here, let me zoom into this real quick. Oh, it's not gonna let me zoom. Oh, there it goes. This is one of my students, Javi. This is one of his, I think it's his first or second property that he picked up, doing annual revenue. It's a little blurry, but $273,000. And this is, you can read this, but it's text between him and the landlord. And then profit on this property was just under $200K. And this is him messaging in our private community, bag secured. So yeah, if you want to learn how you can build an empire for yourself and get results like this, or you want to have my team do it for you, which is a possibility if you would rather have my team set up and do everything for you. But I do definitely recommend that you learn the ins and outs before. I think it's good to have. Then definitely hit the link in the description below and book a call to get a walkthrough of how my system works and how you can learn how you can do this for yourself. And if it's a good fit, we can talk about how to work together, how to scale, and how you can get into this as soon as possible. I mean, worst case scenario, it isn't a good fit, and I'll just point you in the right direction to something that would better fit you. Now, I'm looking forward to speaking with you, and I hope y'all appreciated this training. I hope y'all gained a lot of information and really got a change in perspective about this, about everything. And like I said, I'm looking forward to talking to you. I'll see y'all guys on the call. Peace.